But this is why we're excited. This is why Oprah's here. As much as she loves Talk of the Table, she's here for a very special reason.
Yes!
Only on CBS This Morning, she's revealing her highly anticipated book club selection. Oprah, so what'd you pick?
It's called The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I know the world has been waiting for this novel, and Ta-Nehisi Coates certainly didn't need me to choose the novel to give it attention, but it is it is one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life.
Whoa.
That's a good reason for picking it.
Yeah, that's a
One of the, up there in the top 5.
Here's a background. The Water Dancer tells the story of a young man born into bondage on a plantation who was gifted with a mysterious power. It is Coates' first novel and follows his acclaimed nonfiction work. His moving autobiography, Between the World and Me, won the 2015 National Book Award, and his landmark essay, The Case for Reparations, pushed the discussion about payments to the descendants of slaves onto the national stage. Guess who else is joining us at the table? Ta-Nehisi. Which, guys, this is the first time they've met. I did not know.
Is that right?
Really?
Wow.
Yes. They had never met
Just
before.
met in the green room.
Ta-Nehisi, congratulations to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're meeting for the first time. What was your reaction when you heard the news for the first time that you were going to be this pick?
Well, if I'm honest about it, I had some heads up. Like, I got this text that said, there's a call coming at 10 a.m. this morning. You have to be available for this call.
Who told you that?
It was my editor, actually.
Oh, really?
The panic text.
Yeah.
And but the phone call, I mean, it was tremendous. It's a tremendous honor. I mean, you know, you're going into the company of people like Toni Morrison,
Yes.
Colson, Whitehead. You know, and so this was like a huge, you know, honor for me.
But why did it affect you so, Oprah? I remember Lee Haber, who's our book editor at the magazine, said, you know, that Oprah had just called Ta-Nehisi and she was crying on the telephone. I hadn't read the book yet. She was crying on the telephone. What was it about the book?
Well, I've
that
always
moved you
been a
so?
student of our history, of African-American history, and, you know, I grew up reciting Sojourner Truth's Ain't I a Woman before I even knew what I was really saying. And I always recognize I've been carried by the ancestors. And Ta-Nehisi's book, The Water Dancer, allows us to see that, but also to experience and feel what that carriage has been like. And I was so moved by, there's something on, if you get the hardcover edition, on page 110, where he actually describes what slavery is. He says, slavery is everyday longing, is being born into a world of forbidden victuals and tantalizing untouchables, the land around you, the clothes you hem, the biscuits you bake. You bury the longing because you know where it must lead.
Ta-Nehisi, this is your...
Not bad at all.
Right? Good.
This is your first novel.
Yes.
This is your first novel.
Yes.
I mean, it's not, you've done a lot of writing before, but a novel's a different kind of thing.
Completely.
And I know you spent 10 years researching this?
Researching and writing. It's deceptive because actually I started writing this before I started writing my second book, Between the World and Me, before I wrote, you know, Case for Reparations. We were 8 years in. But I actually started this before. So while this comes out publicly later than some of the work that, you know, I became more prominent for, I actually have been working on this for a long time.
This has been in your heart for a long time.
And on the page in various really terrible versions that the public should never see.
You told Vanity Fair you sent a version to Michael Chabon.
I did.
And he sent it back and said what?
This is not fiction.
Bro. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. That's sort of an ouch. You know what?
Not fiction,
What did you think when he sent you that?
I mean, I sent it to him to get that note. I mean, to be honest with you, that was no different than the process I go through for nonfiction. Between the World and Me, I had a very similar interaction with my editor, Chris Jackson. So that was not, you know what I mean? That's writing. If you're really in there and you're blessed with, you know, friends and colleagues who are going to be honest with you, that's the sort of thing they're supposed to
But
say.
you wanted to capture what I thought you did so well, to capture the emotion of slavery and the intelligence of the slaves.
Yeah.
That's something that we never hear about, read about.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, in the course of my research, you know, I think in the common mind, people just think of, you know, enslaved people as these sort of cotton-picking machines, but I don't think we realize the extent to which their labor was dependent upon, and not just manual, you know, mental. I mean, one of the things that, you know, we talked about.
I think we should underscore the fact that we've got big ideas in this book, but this is a pleasure to read. It's got plot. You know, you're not only writing essays, you also wrote Black Panther, was that right? Yeah.
Comic book,
Comic book, yeah. You
Not
know
the
how to
movie.
plot something.
Yeah.
But you mix fiction also with real life characters, like Harriet Tubman is a character. How did you decide to do that?
Well, I'm from Baltimore, and Baltimore's in Maryland. Harriet Tubman's from Maryland. My family's from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Yeah, and so she was always, obviously Harriet Tubman is a mythical figure, nationally, but specifically for us, the stories you would hear, they were like superhero stories.
But Oprah, did you think it was a difficult read?
I will say this, that it felt like Toni Morrison to me, and that I mean that in all the best ways. And I will say that the first paragraph is also one full sentence, and I had to read that first sentence paragraph 3 times before I figured out what was actually happening.
The whole first chapter is like kind of like a dream sequence. You got to get through that, and then it is a thumping, plot-driven.
You're in. You're all the way in, people, by page 10.
Yeah.
You're all the way in by page 10.
Oprah and Ta-Nehisi Coates are not leaving. We'll continue our conversation next.